Today's conversation is going to be a little different. It's not going to be a mind map, but it is going to be a conversation with someone else. Ethan Schwandt, who was a client of mine for the last year and a half, created a YouTube channel. Some of you might actually know who he is because you watch some of his videos. He does similar kinds of videos, book discussions with mind maps. And he reached out to me about a year and a half ago because what he wanted to do was reconnect to a deeper level of his inner voice, specifically in the entrepreneurial space. He already created a successful entrepreneurial endeavor. He had a gym business, and then he moved into creating a marketing business, which also does pretty well. He still runs that. And then as a result of having conversations, it was brought forth of creating this YouTube channel, which is now growing really fast. And through this process, he became a coach. He does consulting, as well as it opened up other opportunities, other business potentialities. And he's finding flow, maintaining his flow, establishing a deeper level of connection with his inner voice, and now helping others do the same. So I trust you're going to find this video, this conversation that Ethan and I had, to be very valuable, insightful, and beneficial for you. Enjoy.
I started a gym business when I was 19 years old in my hometown, and I ran that business for 3 or 4 years, and it was fairly successful. It ended up being my full-time income plus, more, especially for a small town. The problem was that I was kind of continually overworking myself. I would work 60, 80 hours a week training people inside.
And we might not say what small town you're in because as your channel grows, you might get some fans show up, right?
Yeah, we could get, an entire, the mind map guy town going on. Yeah. But, yeah, so I built that up, and it was a lot of fun in the beginning, but then I think kind of connected to a little bit about what we've been talking about today. I lost the flow. The flow wasn't showing up. It was continually kind of a grind every time I showed up, and that led me to closing down the gym, selling off the equipment and the clients. And
what kind of gym was it? Was it like a traditional gym, or you're doing CrossFit or certain kinds of?
It was kind of a mix of both. It was more of a weightlifting gym. It wasn't like a cardio gym or anything like that. I had everyone in that gym from
my style.
Yeah.
When exactly. I go up to Collingwood, which is pretty close to where you are, but I'm not going to say where you are. I go to this very boutique gym. It sounds like the kind of gym that you had.
For sure. And I had clients, everyone from soccer moms to, really serious weightlifters. Those people were my clients. And even before that, I was the type of guy that wasn't even able to talk to someone I couldn't go to the bank. Like, I had extreme social anxiety. So through that business, I really overcame my social anxiety. I ended up selling off that business and moving over into an internet marketing type of business where it was more sales and that sort of thing. I ran that for a few years, and then I lost the flow in that as well. The same exact kind of.
What were you doing in the marketing business?
We did a little bit of everything. Like, I could build websites. I would do social media marketing. I would do advertising like Google ads and Facebook ads. We did a little bit of everything. Most of what we were doing was kind of managing the social media accounts for small businesses around here that they might have had older owners that didn't want to keep up with the social media, and maybe at first they didn't even realize the benefits of it. The good thing about that business is it's actually still going to this day. I've had clients for almost 3 whole years now. So there's a lot of service that goes on there as well, which is that's a ton of fun, connecting with clients and staying with them for the long term. The churn and the sales part of it, I wasn't able to find flow within. And that's kind of where we met, actually. I found one of your videos on YouTube, and I think it was Power versus Force, I think, was the very first book that I ever watched of yours, which really it loops in exactly what we're talking about inside of this channel. Is I was constantly using force, constantly forcing myself to do things. And that's kind of the story of our journey. You showed me a lot about how to use power, a lot about how to focus on flow, a lot about how to leverage the skills that I've gained in other areas of my life into something that I felt like was of service for other people. And like you said, that's more of a connection to my purpose. I really connect with being of service to people, helping them through some difficult times, especially ones that I've gone through as well. And that really is our journey together, is me finding the purpose and focusing on flow and growing this YouTube channel up into, yeah, exactly what I dreamed it would be, and even quicker than I dreamed I would get there.
Well, this is very interesting because I've spoken to many entrepreneurs about this. A lot of times entrepreneurs start out in the journey and they want to make money or they want to create a certain lifestyle for themselves. And when they get to that point, they ask themselves, what else is there? What else can I do that brings that same level of motivation and drive that I once had? But now that I've achieved a certain level of success, I could double down or triple what I'm doing as far as output or quadruple. But for some reason, I don't have that same motivation and drive. And I've had that same experience. And then I realized that I learned this from Napoleon Hill. Happiness is found through service to others. And this speaks to a very inherent part of us. And in the earlier stages, we want to take care of ourselves. Maybe this is very much related to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. But then we start looking at the bigger picture. And then we find that service to others is actually a lifelong journey. It goes on, it can keep going because there's no limit to how much you could be of service. And it doesn't necessarily mean forcing more service or doing more. In my opinion, it means more creative form of quality, quantity, and spirit of service. I also learned that from Napoleon Hill, Foundations. And when an entrepreneur connects with that service plus reward, because I believe that the service you put out, you receive fair compensation for it. You receive fair rewards, and you're certainly happy with all the opportunities that you have, which, by the way, you and I have spoken about. We can talk about it if you'd like, the different opportunities that have shown up as a result of starting this channel, which was partially based on a service to others, providing the service. As a result of doing that, you found your flow. Now, you were doing a service in the fitness business as well as the marketing business. But I believe that, and even I was in my IT business, there's a certain point where perhaps you want to adjust your service, amplify your service, or more accurately put, connect that service or discover the service of who you were truly meant to be at a deeper level, and allow that to express for you, through you, I would say, through you, so that it ends up creating an entrepreneurial endeavor, which is a benefit for you, others, and divine evolution. Now, this is what you have found, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's still doubling down on that connection to service and having that kind of be the purpose of the entire entrepreneurial endeavor. I would say that all the other businesses that I've done have been service. They would be service industries, right? But what happened was, because I didn't know about this concept of service and of this concept of love of the customer, I had put a lot of the focus on myself and what I could earn. And as you said, that's probably
usually the case, not always the case, but the case in the beginning, because many entrepreneurs just don't want to not have money in the beginning. They just want to have a certain level of income, a certain level of money, financial wealth, and as well, a certain level of freedom.
For sure.
And then once that is achieved at a certain level, you could increase if you want. Certainly that's an option. But many also then find that by combining it with other initiatives that speak really deeply to who they are. I always believe that we have a higher self, an ideal self that we're constantly realizing. And part of the attributes of that ideal self, that higher self, are these attributes that you have discovered on this journey, right?
Absolutely. And I wouldn't change, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't change the beginning of the journey, because knowing that you can create wealth if you need it is a very, 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 very powerful characteristic. Knowing that should you need to create something, should you need to create a business, should you need to find money somewhere, you can do it. That's very, very powerful. And I mean, that's a big part of even freeing yourself up to be of service, right? You need to be free of some of these fears that we pick up along the way in life. And once you can be free of those, you can definitely be a higher level of service for other people. That's what I believe.
I like that, because that first part of the journey is very important. I would not have wanted to skip that, because you're right. It is in that initial part of the journey where you had learned sales skills, marketing skills, innovation skills. communication skills, productivity skills. You learned self-discipline. You learned how to stick with something and see it all the way to completion. You learned how to manage a project. You learn how to manage yourself. You learn how to work with resources to be more resourceful. You learn how to manage yourself, as in a reflection of that is managing time. You learn how to combine time, energy, resources in creative ways to provide greater yield as far as quality, quantity, spirit of service to a certain level where you were able to create a certain level of success for you, which was, I believe, I recommend that for entrepreneurs. I have many young entrepreneurs reach out to me and I say, look, right now, focus on what is going to grow your business fastest, which is usually going to be the marketing and the selling of the product or service, because it is through there that you're going to be able to optimize your product or service because you're relating with others. We don't want to be forcing our product or service. That goes against the whole idea behind Power versus Force, which is such a great book for every entrepreneur. I recommend it, even though it's not directly about entrepreneurship, it is indirectly. We want to align with the marketplace, not force the marketplace, align with the marketplace. And that happens through the connections and, a lot of times rejection, right? Have you faced your share of criticism and rejection and confronting those aspects within yourself? We call that the ego self, and overcoming it.
Absolutely. Not only rejection from other people, but after listing all of those things, the one big one that was left for me was self-trust, because there's a certain level of not having the confidence that you're going to be able to do something, not having the confidence that this is going to work out, not having the confidence that if you pour a lot of energy, time, potentially money into something, that it's going to materialize into what you want it to materialize into. I feel like that's one of the big stumbling blocks for people new to entrepreneurship, young entrepreneurs, is that sometimes you might have to make videos for 6 months and it's only you and your mom and your girlfriend watching them and clicking the like button and not even leaving a comment. But eventually, after those 6 months, after a year, whatever it is, you've put enough value out there into the ecosystem that people start to be attracted towards you. And you have to have a high level of self-trust in order to do that. You have to trust that you're going to be able to follow through. You have to trust that what you have to say is valuable. You have to trust that you're going to be able to build a net to capture some of the value that you're putting out there in the world.
Yes. And excuse the sirens. I'm in downtown Toronto right now. So the power of what you said is very deep. And there's something to be said about picking something, a goal, a dream, a vision, an entrepreneurial idea, getting started with it, and facing those aspects of yourself that you might not have been looking at had you had not gone on the entrepreneurial journey. So the entrepreneurial journey is very revealing, and nobody's really rejecting you per se, right? You realize this.
Yep.
What they're really giving you is optimization data. And this is how you get the insights for your integration of 1% better. After a while, you have fingertip feel, as you had said, you can feel it, right?
Yeah.
And maybe in the earlier stages, you work with somebody. You have a mentor, you have a coach, you have a team, you have a mastermind, you have a support group that can help you reflect upon the different experiences. Because what I found is that on the entrepreneurial journey, you change a lot. But I also believe that you become more of who you really are on the entrepreneurial journey. And you make more of your subconscious conscious, which is why I talk a lot nowadays about the subconscious stuff. So I wanted to discuss that because I believe that all that you had in your experience, the previous successes, laid the foundation for this particular initiative that you're now involved with. So what are you involved with? And let's talk about how we can relate those together. Because I believe you saw the parallels when you had gone through my programs as well as gone through the coaching sessions. And you and I have done maybe like 10, 15, 20 coaching sessions. And part of what was happening, and I believe a large part, is you were reflecting back on your past experiences and your skills and your capabilities of what you've already cultivated and found a passion and desire to share it with others, which is why I believe you created your channel and why you offer coaching and why you love working with, and you like working with entrepreneurs?
Oh, I love it. That's my favorite people. And exactly for the exact same reason that I believe entrepreneurship is a real good revealer of yourself and a real good way to see where you can improve. It's self-development on steroids, really. You have to become your best self if you are going to be an entrepreneur. And that's why I really connect with that side of entrepreneurship more so than the the hustle side and the success side. And for sure those are good reasons to get into it if you're looking to get into it. But I think after you've been into it for a few years, it's been a decade for me and longer for you, you realize that it's really a journey of personal development. It's really a journey of becoming more of yourself, really a journey of discovering a playful aspect when it comes to producing value to people so that you can do it all through flow rather than through force.
And it can be, doesn't necessarily have to be, it can be total chaos in the beginning.
Yes.
But we have to be willing to stick with that because the rewards, the purification of mind, the self-transformation, and as well as the rewards you get from entrepreneurship are well worth it because you evolve, you grow, you become somebody. So you had that foundation. What happened during our coaching sessions and going through my programs that stimulated this idea for you to create this channel and go in this pathway of service to others?
So exactly what you said, where it was a reflection back on what I loved about different aspects of my previous businesses. One of the things that I loved, number one of the things that I loved was starting the businesses. That's the most fun time. I was telling someone the story about how when I started my gym, I got a couple of dumbbells from a garage sale and trained people in a local park. And there was like drug deals going on beside. It was just a real chaos in the beginning, like you said. But I love that part of it. So that's maybe part of the reason why I decided to start a new one is I just love the aspect of building a new system. But really what I did was I reflected.
Entrepreneurs love making sense out of nonsense. That's what I've realized. So we like that. And as you're saying that, I'm reflecting on myself as well. That is a big stimulus for me, going into the unknown.
For sure. And I think that's why we love coaching too, right? Because each time someone shows up, it's the same in some ways, but it's different in almost all of the ways. It's that person has a completely different life experience than me. This person is going through maybe something different than what I've gone through or similar than I've gone through, but they're experiencing it in a different way. It really is fun to help people kind of untangle everything that they're going through. And it's even more fun to see them come out on the other side, as I'm sure you've got many different success stories, me being definitely one of them, coming from the place that I was and being where I am right now. It really is fun to see people through kind of the more difficult aspects of whether it's being an entrepreneur or just being a human being. It's definitely fun to do that.
Very good. Now, as a result of working together, the idea that came up for you was to start a channel. And you're a fan of mind mapping as well. So you started mind mapping the book discussions, which is not how I started this channel, because my very first video was about living out of a backpack after I transitioned out of my IT business, because my intent was really that once you create a certain level of success in business, that you could recreate yourself again. So I got rid of everything. And I was planning on going down that that pathway, but like with everything, optimization, fingertip feel, something else reveals itself. So I started doing the book discussions. So why did you pick the book discussions? Was it something to just get started with, or did you really resonate with it? Or did you understand something that spoke very deeply to you through the books that you felt very passionate about sharing? What was it for you?
I think exactly it's a mix of all of those, right? So I had an easy jumping off point because I could model what you were already doing and was already successful, which I think if you're a new entrepreneur, if you can find someone or something to model around, that's a really great place to start. We've talked about that quite a bit.
Yes, very important, very important. Because when you model off somebody, you can start with that base, and then what you'll find, and you've been doing this for how long now?
The YouTube channel, I think almost a year and a half now.
That opportunities show up of customizing it and bringing it into different directions that reveal themselves on the journey, right?
Yeah.
So you get to start with something, a base. This is what the entrepreneurial journey is about. You read some books, you maybe attend some seminars, You hire a coach or a consultant, and you get started, enough to get started. And then what happens is, as you continue on that journey, you start to find a unique pathway that works well for you. And it's going to be something that you enjoy doing, probably something you're inherently good at, as well as something that is going to be part of like a natural expression. And this is found in the journey. Sometimes you don't have this prior. So you got started with that. Now you put out 80 videos. What do you offer now on your channel as a result? Because even though our channels are very similar, because you do book discussions, and you right now are exclusively doing book discussions, right?
Yes.
And that's what you're planning to focus on for a period of time, right?
Yeah, for the near future at least. Yeah.
And even though those many opportunities, and you know what they are, presented themselves, you could take it in all kinds of different angles. This is where your heart is, and that's very important. What have you now started offering in the space of book discussions? Let's say, because there's a whole space of book discussions. There's
Yeah.
so many channels and podcasts doing book discussions, which makes me very happy, because when I started doing this, it was hardly anyone doing it, and I always felt that in order to really bring awareness onto these great books, it would be so ideal, like having a virtual book club on social media where everybody's discussing their insights, perspectives, results, takeaways on the different information. Right now, for example, in Neville Goddard, when I started, there was no discussion about Neville Goddard, but there are so many channels and so many discussions regarding the work of Neville Goddard and how to take it and integrate it. Same with Napoleon Hill. And it's amazing. So what do you contribute to this space that you have found that really speaks to you and your audience?
Yeah. So I think exactly what you said. It's a different perspective on the offerings of the authors that we're going with, right? So yeah. I'll read, let's say, for example, I've kind of planned mine out in months, and maybe this is going a little deeper into the way that I plan the channel, and people might not find it interesting, but I'll tell you anyways. So basically what I do is I plan it out in months. So this month, for example, the month of August, I plan to do a lot of videos all around habits. So I'll find all of the kind of big books on habits. I'll read those all, and I'll offer those out as YouTube videos. And then I'll find ones that are unconnected to habits, but I'll put a habits spin on them. So
nice.
For example, what I did was, coming up on tomorrow, on Wednesday, I'm going to put out a book called No Sweat. And essentially this is a fitness book, but it has a lot of really good tips on how to frame your mindset around building new habits. So it's not necessarily a book all about habits, but I framed it as a book about habits because that's what I see it as. I see it as a book on fitness, but at its meta level, you can connect this to every habit in your entire life. So that's what I feel like I offer is I really go down into a specific topic. I read all of the books on that particular topic, and then it's a playlist on my channel that you can check out for forever. You can read all the books on habits if you're struggling with that. And that's kind of what I wanted to set up. And after I've read all those books, I stitched together the most important points from each of them into a masterclass that's around 2 hours long and is filled up with a lot more actionable items that you can kind of take and implement directly into your life, just as a way to help people shortcut and synthesize all the information from these multiple different sources and multiple different experts on a particular topic. Habits was this month, and last month was learning, and next month is going to be goals. And I'm going to continue to do that every month. And that's kind of the way that I have my channel structured right now.
That's very good. And it sounds like you're having a lot of fun too.
Oh, it's so much fun. I'm loving seeing what the finished product is. I'm loving seeing the connections that I can make within books that are not necessarily about habits or not necessarily about learning, but you can connect the subjects together, because really at the end of the day, that's what mind mapping is all about. I know this video is not necessarily about mind mapping, but mind mapping is about making connections. Yes. And that's what I feel like I'm doing, not only within the videos, but in between the videos that we're doing, and connecting the mind maps together on a video about habits and a video about goal setting, or a video about self-compassion, or a video about mindfulness. They all connect in some way, shape, or form. And really they all connect through the person that is watching the videos at the end of it all.
That's very good. And I'm happy you're doing that. When you said that was what we were going to do, you were going to do that. it brought me a lot of joy because I wanted to see more discussions on books and various seminars and programs and so forth to really broaden the nuance elements that are related to the principles. When many of these authors create books and sit down, they really pour their heart and soul into it. It's really their life's work. And I believe one of their deep spiritual intents is for others to benefit from it and to also be able to reveal aspects about themselves and to be able to share their revelations with others so that others can benefit from it. And this continues, this journey continues. And this is beautiful for the internet because what I believe is we want to find our way that works for us. There's many ways of creating success in entrepreneurial, many ways of producing results. What we really want to do is reflect back on the information that we are consuming and asking ourselves, what resonates with us? And since there's many book discussions on YouTube now, and certainly your channel has the mind map perspective, which, mind mapping allows you, as we said, form the connections, which is very powerful. There's a lot of information that we can reflect upon. See, if we consume the information and try to look at it from a surface level, then we get overwhelmed by it. But when we look at the information and say, what do I resonate with? And then what can I take and apply and test so I can see what kind of results I get? Then you really unlock the power of business and personal development, entrepreneurship, this kind of information. And then what ends up happening is you find a process that perhaps might be shared by others, but it can be very unique to you. And it works really well for you to create the results. And it is at this point where you really start listening to your own inner voice, which I believe happens on the journey with the entrepreneur as well. Many entrepreneurs who have been around for a long period of time and have created success, I find that they have a commonality, and you and I share this, is we don't let the opinions of the outer world influence, but we keep into considerations the opinions of the outer world. We have the ability to do this. We have the ability to value, understand, appreciate, while at the same time reflecting and saying, okay, based on what I'm doing, here is what's valid, or here's the perspective on this information that is valid. And the way I like to look at this is what I had learned from the Kabbalion. Everything is and isn't at the same time. So from an entrepreneur's perspective, there's the goal, there's the end result, what you desire to create. And if everything is and isn't, then the answer of whether it is or isn't is really dependent on if it's related to the vision. So is it or is it not? Well, the answer is it depends. And who knows the answer to that? Well, you do. And this is also what you help others with, because you and I talked about your coaching experiences with clients, and I do this as well. And my goal is not to give consulting clients or coaching clients a whole bunch of information and have them overwhelmed by it, because I know what's going to happen, because I've had that experience. They're not going to do anything with it, right? Mm-hmm. Or they'll do very little with it. But if we give information in a way where they form the connections within, we're facilitators of that, then they have changed. Something has happened. Their psychology has changed. There's something going on within. What I found is that it connects them to their inner voice. And as a result of that, they start behaving different. The results happen. So share your experiences with your clients. First of all, is that resonating with the process? Like, am I speaking about it in a nutshell about how you experience the coaching and consulting with your clients?
Oh, absolutely. So the way that I view the coaching and consulting that I do with my clients is it's not like they don't need more information. Often, actually, the ones that come to us for coaching and consulting, I don't know if this is the same for you, but they're the ones that have the most information. They're the ones that have researched everything all the way through. They might know more about a particular topic even than I do, and I like to read quite a lot. So what I often find is that what they need is they need connection and they need integration. They need to connect with the right information, and they need to actually know it. They need to have not just knowledge, but they need to have that wisdom inside of them, that intuitive knowing. Mm-hmm. And then they need help with the integration, because It's not always easy to change. I mean, being a human being and just being is very difficult. So being a human being and changing is more difficult on top of that. So the integration is a big part of the coaching experience with me, and I'm sure it definitely was with you as well. I felt like sometimes there was 3 or 4 weeks in a row where I would come back with the same thing, and we would talk about it from a different angle, and it would connect a little bit more, and I could integrate that into my life. And that was the part that made the big difference. It wasn't really any new information under the sun. Uh, Everyone has
Yeah.
access to information right now.
And I figured you knew this stuff because it was interesting when you contacted me. I just knew you knew this stuff. So I'm like, why is he a student of my programs? I just know he knows this stuff. But I also knew what was going on. It's the connection for the next step, as we talked about.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's good to have somebody that you can reflect with. I believe a good coach or consultant doesn't necessarily tell you what to do, although that could be part of it. But they help reveal an aspect of you that is inherently there. And that's something that I've been practicing. When I got out of my IT business, I deeply submerged myself in the coaching, well, primarily consulting space, because I wanted to get into consulting because I really enjoy entrepreneurship and business consulting. And I just submerged myself in the process. And I just learned so much. You learn from others that are very successful in consulting. I've been around Jay Abraham. I got to sit in on one of his high-end, actually a handful of his high-end consulting opportunities, and then be able to see the connections forming and what was going on. And there are many that I've been with, high-end, we would say premium consultants, those that charge a lot. But what they charge is completely justifiable, completely based on the value that they provide because of what occurs in the individual during the session or the group or the team. It's very powerful. So I've been very fascinated by it. And I learned so much and I grew so much. And so I got it when you contacted me. And we were able to establish that. And now you're doing it for others, which makes me very happy. And it's something that brings you a lot of joy, and it's an ongoing journey and something that you continuously get better at. And I also want to relate this back now to your past experience. So you created success in the gym business. You created success, or the fitness business. You created success in the consulting space for businesses. And then you go and start the channel, and in a relatively short time, you were able to grow it to a high level of success. A lot faster than I did. But I also believe that the reason why you're able to do it is because the knowledge and experience was inherently there within you. And then because you were very stimulated by this particular service to others, and you had a lot of fun doing it, and there's a lot of love for it, it started to express outside of you. And you're right, we had a handful of conversations where we're saying the same thing. But one thing I ensured during those conversations was I wasn't going to tell you what to do in a way that maybe a part of your subconscious mind wanted to hear it so that it could create the same cycle. But I was going to do it in a way where, from my experience, I got very good at doing it. And you've probably also gotten good at doing this through the journey as well, right? Now, working with the coaching clients to discuss it from a different angle, a different perspective. Because if you say the same thing to them or the same way, or you just say, no, you just have to do it, and you get frustrated, that breaks the connection. That breaks the relationship. That breaks the trust. And it creates a separation. What we want to do is have a conversation again about the same thing from a different perspective. And as you do now, that has become who you are on your channel. You weave these different books together. It's the same thing, right? Entrepreneurship is fundamentally the same stuff, right? Like, this. And all entrepreneurs will find out it's the same stuff. But there's all these nuanced different slants. And when we find maybe one or two or a handful of nuanced slants that really resonate with us, that speaks to our core, boom, that's when the change happens. So you're experiencing this, you're doing this with your channel. Is this something that you offer as far as your coaching? Talk about your coaching process and how you go about doing it. Because I believe that you kind of follow a very similar process that I do. I believe so, where you're not looking to tell people what to do. It's a very nuanced. You're looking to reveal within, right? It may sound nice and it may look like we're trying to sound nice, but there's depth to it, because the truth is everyone knows what to do, right?
I think everyone definitely already knows what to do. And it's that connection part of it. So the first few sessions, I always find it's a mix of getting to know the person, know how they think, know their thought patterns, identify what might be some stumbling blocks that they have either externally or internally that they continue to kind of run up against. And I'm sure you saw that right away when I first called. You saw exactly, I was kind of missing the flow element. And as soon as the flow element went away, I got bored and skipped on to the next thing. But you notice that first. And then you kind of get them to explore that a little bit more, explore why that might be happening, explore how they've approached trying to remedy that in the past.
Yes.
And it's a lot of the person just talking at you for the first little while. And for me, when I first got into it, I was talking a lot on our coaching calls. And I was like, okay, you know, I'm kind of on this call for Joseph to tell me what to do. But I didn't realize that that wasn't what I was actually there for. I was there for you to help me reveal what I knew already I needed to do.
Because sometimes
So
when we
that's kind of the
talk a
process.
lot, not to interrupt, but this is the one time I'll interject.
It's okay.
Sometimes when we talk a lot in coaching, we're being coached or consulted by someone, we're doing the talking. We're in a way affirming the same thing and without even knowing it subconsciously. So I'm glad you recognize it. But yes, please continue.
Yeah. And for me, it feels like this is the way that I vision it in my head is it's not necessarily them being coached. It's more like them being connected with their inner coach. Like I
Yes.
believe that we all have something inside of us that is, it's a mechanism that we are supposed to use to coach ourselves through these types of situations. And for whatever reason, whether it's a past failure, it could be anything, that connection to that coach somehow gets severed in some of us and we start to feel a little lost. We don't feel purposeful. We don't feel of service to others. And really it's connecting themselves back to that coach. And honestly, you know, that's not the good business practice, right? No one would say, teach the people how to coach themselves. But that's
Yeah, a
what I
lot
feel
of
like.
in the world of coaching, consulting, entrepreneurship in general is changing. And I'm loving the direction it's going because now instead of keeping people dependent on the services we offer, we empower them to find that level of service within themselves. And we're always going to find more opportunities.
Yeah.
This is the beautiful thing is that Sun Tzu said this in Art of War, opportunities multiply as they're seized. And it is absolutely true. When you find the opportunity to help somebody find that inner coach, as you call it, within themselves, and then they go out and they can do things like invisible counsel and self-talk. And so that's my version of coaching myself. And I do this. They're able to really reflect with their inner voice and relate to the information that they get. And we have so much information on the internet. Relate to it and continuously create success. And I always believe what you put out comes back to you. So because I created that, or I've helped contribute to that, more accurately put, in a way that's my, whatever they do is my effort realized, and I don't even have to have regular conversations with them. They're good to go. And if I kept them dependent on me for whatever reason, you know, if I wanted to continuously have more clients or whatever, then I would miss out on that opportunity for them to actually go out and produce more service. And the way we receive our value in entrepreneurship is not necessarily based on the product or services we create, but the indirect product and service and contribution we make. I know, I've seen it. This is the world we're moving into. We're seeing it in parallel. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing this. Otherwise, it'd just be like, okay, this is just sounding nice. But it actually works this way. And I've spoken to many entrepreneurs. Rather than looking at, okay, I'm creating value here, I want to hold on to this and continue to receive benefit from this. We see it as outer world, inner world. I put out value, and I'm always looking for ways of multiplying quality, quantity of spirit of service. And that's one of the best ways to multiply quality, quantity of spirit of service is to transfer that ability into another person so that they can multiply quantity, quality, and spirit of service. And you are a facilitator of that. So thus you receive your rewards plus part of the rewards that they receive. And a lot of times they end up partnering with you, right? When you empower others and you, like I love creating entrepreneurs because when you create successful entrepreneurs, somewhere down the road, they end up partnering with you and you work together, right? Are you the same way?
Oh, absolutely. Look it
You
up.
go out and create, others that can coach themselves and consult with themselves. You're going to benefit down the road, and they're going to benefit down the road, and they're going to spread this out there, right?
Absolutely. Look at us, right? Like you helped me, and now I've helped dozens of people with direct coaching, hundreds of people with the courses, and thousands of people with the YouTube channel. Like that's a pretty big impact that you've had, just through me. And full transparency, this is the first time that we've talked since our coaching sessions have talked on video. At least we email back and forth pretty regularly. But I could see this relationship spurred on from the coaching relationship when we first started, going on for decades and decades and decades. And who knows where both of us will be in 10 years, 20 years, and who knows when the synchronicity might happen that we connect together for something else.
Yes. This kind of way of doing things is a way to release the scarcity programming, is to align the way I conceptually create the model to be able to identify with in my mind about this. I call this conscious, subconscious, superconscious. It's to align it all together. Superconscious represents the universal mind. So we're all connected to superconscious. That's my belief. And the individualization happens in the subconscious and the conscious, right? There's Ethan. At a core level, we're the same. We're the same. We're actually the same. We are one at a core level, at subconscious. The individualization happens based on life experiences and where we were born and all these types of things. And that's all subconscious and conscious programming that we want to align with the superconscious version of ourselves. Now, what I believe you're doing is helping people find that in your channel. I know I watch your videos, so I recommend everyone watch your videos. I'm going to put a link in the description. And if you feel compelled to, if you resonate, then reach out to see if you have any coaching opportunities. But I'm very happy that you're going about now in this way, because we're not the only ones doing this. I've spoken to many coaches and consultants now that are doing this exact same thing we're talking about. They're creating this ability for another person to connect with their own inner voice within and reflect on the information, and allowing them to not be dependent on others. See, this is the thing. And I learned this in earlier stages, right? From 7 Habits, Stephen R. Covey. He said, you've got 3 stages. You've got dependency, you got independent, and you got interdependent. Interdependent is like mastermind, superconscious, interdependent. It's where we're not dependent per se on another person, but we're working together in the spirit of harmony. So I believe the coaches and consultants that are going to thrive, and are thriving actually, as I see it, are the ones that are creating interdependent clients, interdependent. And, I never had any formal coaching or consulting training. Have you?
No.
I certainly was surrounded by many who are very successful at it, such as Jay Abraham.
Me too.
And I learned a lot through observation. And I met a lot of mentors in my life when I was in corporate. They're not necessarily known, they've never written a book. They don't have a YouTube channel, but there's a lot of them, right? There are these individuals that are out there that just know this stuff, and they're just very good at it. And we have the ability to find them and connect with them and really understand what's going on in their psychology, so we can integrate that, provided if it's resonant. Have you met any individuals like that in your lifetime?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you're definitely one of them. I've had many different coaches along the journey, and the one that helped me probably connect with myself the most, connect with my inner voice the most, has been you. But since then, I can see them everywhere. I can see those people. They're there, but it has to be, I think the same thing. It has to be, the person has to have the ability to help you connect with that first. And then once you connect with that, you can see other people that are connected pretty easily. You can spot them, and they're not always in a position to coach. They might be on the same team as you in your work environment. They might be the manager that you have at your work environment, if you're lucky. They might be a coach in your work environment. They're all over the place. Definitely people that are connected with their own inner voices and trying to help other people. And it's much easier to find them once you've already connected with that.
And I'm glad we took the conversation in this direction, which is what I wanted to bring it to subconsciously. I remember thinking about this prior, is that actually everybody is a coach and consultant, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody is our coach and consultant. Everybody's revealing to us about ourselves. And what we're really looking for is somebody that understands the process of learning and teaching. So we pick more of a formal coach or consultant, someone that has learned the process. But we can actually look at everybody also as our coach and consultant. And I recommend doing both. I actually recommend both. It's good to have someone that is your coach or your consultant, someone that you can turn to, while you go out in the everyday, day-to-day world and integrate, apply. Because then what happens is they can get a lot out of the coaching relationship with you. Because then, and I trust you have a very refined coaching model, which we can touch into, which I believe is part of your whole masterclass, which I would like to discuss as well, and integrate it in your videos and so forth. But the coaching experience with you, or the consulting, you consider yourself a coach or consultant, or what would you consider yourself?
Definitely more of a coach. I mean,
Okay.
what ends up happening is it tends to be coach first, consultant second. And I'm sure that you probably noticed this. This is the same relationship that we had, where we started off coaching and then it ended up going more into consulting around building a business and that sort of thing once I was ready.
Yes. So in your coaching experience, you have a conversation, which is a fusion of these different things we've been discussing. They go about their day-to-day and they start to look at reality different from the initial coaching experience. And then they observe reality different. They're seeing it more from cause and effect relationship rather than confusion. And then they ideally would bring some questions to the call, right? Like, so how do you do it? Do you do it weekly, bi-weekly, monthly? How do you do it? Or is it custom based on their needs?
It's completely custom, and that's the same with the process as well. It's really going to depend where the person starts at. I don't have a specific framework. I do have a lot of those master classes, which I say, if you want to go through those and let me know where you're getting stuck or where you're not understanding, that's a good place that we could get started. But often people come with a specific thing in mind, and that's kind of what we tackle using the knowledge that I have from reading the books and also just helping them get in touch with their inner coach. Again, often they know the information. It's just that process of connecting and integrating.
That's so much fun. I love that. Inner coach. Well, you're gonna
Trademark
trade.
before we get off the call. Yeah.
So they go through a process which is dynamic, because coaching and consulting is dynamic because every individual is individualized, right? And then we have similarities, but we also have individual unique characteristics. So we gotta have a framework, and I like the Robert Dilts model, and then a dynamic flow-based process. So they go on this flow-based process. They start to look at reality from a more aligned. When I say they start to look at reality differently, what we're really saying is they're looking at reality from how they are really looking to look at reality from, as in who they really are, from this ideal higher self, more and more so each day. Now, what ends up happening is, as a result of that, they reflect and they jump back in the calls with you. Do they submit some questions to you? How do you do it? Is there a formal process prior to the call?
So I do it a little bit differently. The first, I sell coaching in packages of 5, similar to you. Again, I'm just modeling. I do a 30-minute long session in the beginning, and that's where we'll go through things like a personality test. We'll do that beforehand. We'll do a questionnaire about the things that they want to talk about and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. The first 30 minutes is really just getting to know each other, understanding the way that we both speak, the way that we both view the world. And then we really dive into whatever they want to tackle in that first session.
Yes.
In between the sessions, I give them access to my Facebook Messenger, and basically they'll give me updates. If they're running into a roadblock during that time, they'll send me some updates. I'll shoot a couple of messages back. And in that way, I feel like that's part of the integration, and our sessions are more spent on the actual kind of connecting to their self. And then the integration bumps that are going to happen along the way, we can tackle those more through Messenger, voice notes, and that sort of thing. That's going to be, because the bumps along the way in the integration, those happen in the moment. They don't always happen inside of the coaching session. So I like to spend the coaching sessions with the connection to that inner voice, inner coach, and then the integration is more done through Facebook Messenger and kind of messaging platforms to make sure that we're checking up on each other pretty regularly.
Very nice. Very good. So this is good because, some prefer a very, very structured approach to coaching consulting. Some prefer a very dynamic almost laid back approach. Each individual is different, and some like a hybrid. What you've articulated right here speaks to the certain group of individuals that can benefit. And I can totally understand that group because I've worked with others that can benefit. So if what Ethan is saying resonates with you, check out his channel. He does mind map discussions, very similar to what I do, but his own perspectives. And he has added some more pieces on there. I see that you added timestamps and all these other things. He also has this masterclass that he does every single month. So talk a little bit about this masterclass, which I believe is related to your coaching as well, or maybe it ties in somehow, or maybe it's something else. What's the masterclass?
Absolutely. So again, what I said before was I'm really diving deep into one particular topic every month. So this month is habits. And what I've done is I read all the best books on habits and connected a bunch of books that seemingly are unrelated to habits, but I believe have good elements that you could integrate into when you're trying to create new habits for yourself.
Yes.
I put those all into a masterclass, essentially, which is all the best points, all the best action items, all synthesized into one mind map that takes about 2 hours to go through. So it's a longer mind map than what's available on my channel. Each of the master classes also have a free coaching integration session. So after you go through the master class, at the end, you can sign up for a coaching session and we can talk about learning. We can talk about habits. We can talk about whatever you want to talk about. I'm going to continue to do a new master class. I have a full year planned out of master classes. And my idea at the end of that is to sell them all as one package and teach other people how to do the same type of coaching business that we're creating as well. And that's my plan at the end of the year. I have 12 master classes that I believe kind of cover the 12 different dimensions that people will be able to really, really help with their coaching. And then we'll cover some business specific stuff as well in the coaching masterclass is what I'm going to call it, but it'll be far in the future.
That's very good. I like it. And by the way, I'm putting the links in the description to your website, the masterclass, the channel. And I don't personally get anything out of it. I just want to bring awareness. This was my idea to bring you on because I realized when you had created the channel and what you put out there and through getting to know you and connecting with you, that others can really benefit when it comes to working with you. And I just love referring people. I don't have to get anything out of it. You know, I used to do a lot of referral deals, and once in a while I still do. It's part definitely of what I teach in my entrepreneurial program, setting up referral deals and partnerships because it can create revenue sources. But in this case here, I just want to bring more awareness onto your channel because I believe you're doing really good work and your consistency is very good. You do 2 book reviews every week, right? How long have you been consistent like that? Are you going to leave it like that for a while or change it? I mean, right now I'm doing 2, but I'm very dynamic. So sometimes I might switch it to 1. I mean, it's been consistent now for a year, but I don't commit to doing 2. I could switch it to 3 or 1. The answer is depends because there's a lot of other projects that I'm involved with as well that require, you know, the attention. And you're at what, 2 book reviews a week? Is that what you do?
Two right now, but it depends is the same answer for me. I find that I have enough time to do 2 and I enjoy doing 2 and the channel is growing very quickly while I'm doing 2, but I reserve the right to change just as
Yes. This is the fun part about the world we live in. Very dynamic, especially in the YouTube space. Things change.
Yeah.
And we have to be able to adjust and adapt. So thank you for being the example of that and being able to, and that's where we have a lot of fun as entrepreneurs, right?
Oh yeah.
Which is why I always, I'm a huge fan of flow because when you're in flow and you maintain your flow, what ends up happening is if things change, if opportunities show up or the trend goes in a different direction, you adjust to it. You're excited to adjust to it because at the end of the day, we're providing something that is valuable for others. And there are different technologies that show up. There are different ways of delivering that service. And when I speak of technology, I'm not just referring to like websites. Like YouTube has been around for a while. It's, I would say, stood the test of time. But who knows what could show up next, right? Yeah. You could adjust accordingly. And then you might end up, like I just last year started posting on Instagram. And, you know, I also met many others that have built very successful businesses just with Instagram. Mm-hmm. I met many that have built successful businesses with YouTube. See, when we're talking about building businesses with social media platforms, and this is something that, you know, I get into a discussion with my entrepreneurial program and what I get into deeper, is it's not just the ad revenue or the product sales. There's partnerships. There's referral. There's all this, I would say, strategic alliances. What would be considered more advanced entrepreneurship or intermediate, doing deals, let's say, which by the way, you get better at it with practice. We're not going to get into a discussion of that kind of stuff. But if these things show up and they're required to multiply the definite chief aim, which is part of it, large part of it is the quality, quantity, and spirit of service, then you would adjust your videos accordingly. And there's so many things that I could do to optimize my channel, and so many things I could do to optimize my Instagram and so forth. And certainly you do, but you also are involved with other things in the background. What else are you doing? So you're doing this channel, you're doing 2 book discussions a week, you've got your masterclass, you're offering coaching, which I believe is very valuable, and you are also doing some other things. What are some other things you're involved with?
Yeah. So, I mean, directly connected to the YouTube channel, I've got obviously the videos, which is the ad revenue comes in there. That's one kind of revenue stream. I've also got the master classes, which are another revenue stream that's kind of not dependent on my time after I create them. And then I've obviously got the coaching. So for the YouTube channel, the coaching business in particular, there's 3 different revenue streams that I have, but I also still run my marketing business. And I also work with a big tech company here in Canada that we won't necessarily.
You automated your marketing business to a large degree, it sounds like, because that's what happens on this journey. Is you get involved and you add these pillars of different revenue streams or different businesses. You either acquire them or you create new businesses, and they become part of your portfolio of businesses. So this is good. I like it.
Yes.
And what else you got going on outside of the marketing business? You still run your gym?
No, I don't run the gym anymore. I haven't run the gym for 3 or 4 years. I still got the marketing business. And like you said, most of that is automated, which is really great. It's got a good amount of income coming in without having to spend a ton of my time on that. So that's really good.
Because if you still had your gym, I would have to go to your gym, because I'm actually going to be living out of Blue Mountain for the next few months. I really like Blue Mountain, which was actually pretty close to where you are. And I would actually drive down there to use your gym if you had it. See?
Well, we're definitely going to have to. I'm moving closer to Blue Mountain. We won't
really
say the location either, but
I love Blue Mountain.
Beautiful. Oh man, it's beautiful.
And if the travel restrictions or whatever is happening, then I'm going to be enjoying snowboarding in Blue Mountain this winter. So that's a lot of fun. It's one thing to be really close to the mountain, and the other thing to make the trek from Toronto all the way up. Like it's about an hour and a half or 2 hours, depending on if you've got a lot of snow. Being right there, you could just snowboard every single weekend, which is the life. I enjoy that. You got to do things to have fun too as well, right? What do you do to have fun?
Oh, right now I'm loving mountain biking. Like mountain biking is my favorite thing that I do outside of all these other business things right now. I didn't mountain bike for a very long time, but I picked it up this year. Oh my gosh, it's just so much fun.
I got into longboarding. I used to be into skateboarding growing up. And then, when I was very young, before I was like 15 or 16, and then I got into longboarding and just board sports, because you just have there's a lot of flow. I like to do things that bring out my flow. And so that's why I'm looking forward to the snowboarding. And if I had the opportunity to I was planning to go to Mexico and California and be there for a while. I was going to take up surfing, because that's one of the things I want to do. And, I'll probably end up doing that, but that's good. Mountain biking, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Oh yeah. A lot of fun. Blue Mountain is a great spot to mountain bike too.
Yeah. You can enjoy the uphill, right? Really put yourself to a good challenge.
Oh yeah. That's not my favorite part, but it's part of the process.
Well, 1% better each day, right? Just get 1% higher up that mountain. Just the same for that if you wanted to. So this is good. I'm really happy that we've had this conversation. I see this more as a conversation. And I wanted to have it as mentioned because I wanted to bring more awareness onto your channel. So I'm going to put the links in the description to your channel. And I trust that others will receive your information really well, and it'll further their goals and aspirations. And it's not just for entrepreneurs. Like you focus on, who would you say can benefit from your videos?
it's a really wide range of people, to be honest. And I think it's the same with yours. The books connect with different people on different levels.
Yeah, even though I speak to entrepreneurs, I keep it general so that it can relate to other areas of personal development as well. Because my favorite saying, "How you do one thing is how you do everything," right?
Exactly. So yeah, I think it's a little bit of everyone. People that have an entrepreneurial kind of bend, or they want to go into the entrepreneurial space, those are the people that I find those people are the people that invest in themselves the most. So those are the people that tend to come to the coaching and that type of thing.
Okay, good. Well, check out his channel. You'll see a lot of similarities and uniqueness at the same time. And I'm personally looking forward to observing your channel growth. So you have been doing the great work on yourself and in service to others. So keep that up, Ethan. And thank you very much for joining us today and sharing with everyone. And we'll talk soon, all right?
All right. Sounds good. Thanks so much for having me today, Joseph. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Take care.